Working with buyers can be frustrating. I think a lot of people know that buyers naturally take more time than sellers. But guess what? There is a way to do it and a way to do it in a way that's efficient, effective, and that works well for both you and the buyer. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about 5 ways to improve your buyer process and work better with buyers. So get ready to tune in for this awesome content. All right, so 5 ways to improve your buyer presentation, 5 ways to work better with buyers, 5 ways to really crush the buyer side of your business. I talk a lot about buyer systems, seller systems, just all systems in business because it is necessary to think systematically about your business if you're going to make more money in less time. So the things that I'm going to share with you, I want you to think about creating a system around these things because they're going to help you do more over time, because if you're doing the same things, you're going to build momentum and get better at them. So the first thing you have to do to work better with buyers or to win more buyers is to pre-qualify your buyers. Hands down, this is the hardest but the most important part of the process. I cannot tell you the number of people that I work with that have not pre-qualified the buyers. So they're having people come in for consultations and they don't even know whether their credit score is at a place where they can buy a house. They don't even know if they have the income necessary to buy a house. You have to make sure that every buyer you are working with or that you intend to work with, that you bring them through a pre-qualification process. I'll tell you mine. There are 3 things that I look for when pre-qualifying a buyer. This is kind of like a bonus. One is their motivation. Do they even want to buy? If so, why do they want to buy? I don't need to know just that they want to buy. I need to know why. What's driving them to buy? The motivation is, what is the motor of this? What's driving them forward? Why do I need to know that? Because if I know what's motivating them to buy, then when we get to a place where there's bumps in the road, there are hiccups, it gets hard, I can always bring them back to motivation. Let me give you an example. I was working with a lady. She was selling her house here in Tampa. She was moving to California because her daughter, her only daughter, was having twin grandbabies, and she was so excited to be moving to sell her house to go and stay with them and help with the babies. This was in July. Her daughter was due in September. I love the fact that she had a deadline. So when we got an offer in August that was about $5,000 less than what she wanted to net, I brought her back to motivation. So we have an offer, cash, they can close in 2 weeks and you can get to California with your daughter. Is $5,000 worth missing the birth of your child? Right? That's how we determine motivation, because that was able to press her to say, you know what? It's not worth $5,000. Yes, we'll accept this offer. And even though that's a seller example, I'm saying that buyers have the same level of motivation, the same kind of motivation. So make sure you're always in your pre-qualifying process, finding out what's motivating them to buy a house. The next thing is, do they have the ability to buy a house? Ability is, do they have the credit? You have to have credit unless you have cash. So do they have the credit or the cash? 2 is, do they have the money in the bank for the down payment, the inspections, for the appraisal, all the things that a buyer has to pay out of pocket up front to buy a house? Do they have that money set aside? Because they could have great credit. If they don't have any money in the bank, they're still going to have hiccups in the process because they're going to need money. So make this part of your pre-qualification process. I suggest creating a pre-qualification checklist or a questionnaire that you can go through with people and ask them, do you know what your credit score is? How much money have you put aside for buying the house? What's motivating you to buy the house? What will buying a house change for you? The next thing you have to know, after you know their ability, do they have the ability to buy a house? And everything that affects their ability is not just money or credit. They could have just signed a 1-year lease that they can't get out of. Now they don't have the ability to buy the house, not because they don't have the credit or the money, just because the lease is holding them in a position where they can't make the decision at this time. So that is the ability. The last thing in pre-qualifying the buyer is, what is their timeline? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Do they want to buy next month, next year? This is super important because here's the thing. If somebody wants to buy next year, then I'm not going to put a lot of attention into them today. They may go into a nurture system, or we call them smart plans, drip campaigns, something where they're getting touched systematically until maybe 60 days before the timeline where they actually want to buy. This will help you prioritize your leads. And I want you to understand that all of this is about systematically growing your business. When you pre-qualify buyers, you are putting yourself in a position to waste less time. You know how many pre-qualifications that have helped me realize that they're not ready in a position to buy right now, so I don't need to schedule the consultation with them or meet with them or take that time out of my schedule, so I get to keep that time and focus on things that make money. So that's step one in working more effectively with buyers and perfecting your buyer process, is going to be pre-approving the buyers. Hands down, do not ever skip this part, because the next stage is, or step two, or the next step is to do a thorough consultation. If you miss the pre-qualification process, I think that you can make up for it in the consultation, but it's better if you do the pre-qualification up front, because it gives you an idea of how to work with that buyer or seller, even in the future. So the next thing is your buyer consultation. I think that this is probably the make it or break it stage in a transaction, because the consultation is where you set expectations. You get information from them about what they're looking for, what they want. You get information from them about what they expect from you as a realtor, how they're going to communicate with you. All of this stuff is part of the buyer consultation, but I want you to think about your consultations a little differently. I think of a real estate agent as a consultative professional, meaning I don't just go into a consultation and tell you things. As a consultant, I want to ask questions. I have a buyer questionnaire that I go through during the consultation to make sure that I am uncovering everything that they're going to want in a house. Where do you want to live? Why do you want to live there? How far do you need to be from work? What's most important to you in the house? Oh, the kitchen is most important in the yard. Okay, so if I find a house with a great kitchen but a small yard, is that something that you would entertain? No, because both of those are really important. Okay, great. Then I have a clarity around what I'm looking for them, because the whole thing is I don't want to start looking and spend so much time looking only to give it to them and find out that that's not what they're looking for. I want to make sure that I am creating a good focus for myself to aim at as a realtor to find their house. If they want a 3-car garage, is that a must or is it a want? If they have to have a front porch, is that a want or is it a must? Find out these things so that when you're out looking for houses, you can hit the nail on the head every time. Let them know also in this consultation process how you communicate with them. I'm going to be sending you houses on Monday. On Tuesday, I want you to give me your top 3. On Wednesday, I will be calling those houses to get information and schedule showings. Are you available every Thursday for the next 2 weeks to go on showings? Don't let the buyer just go out there with their pre-approval and tell you when they find a house. You should be getting your buyers in a contract in 2 weeks. That's how the process should be stated in the consultation. When I sit down with you, we have 2 weeks to find you a home, because statistics show that you can get a buyer under contract in 14 days. So you want to set that expectation that we're going to be in a timeline. I need you to be involved. Otherwise, they're just going to be like, okay, my realtor will call me or I'll call her when I find something. And what I find usually happens in those instances, they will end up going to see a house at an open house and they'll put in an offer with the realtor that was doing the open house. But you didn't set the expectation in the consultation that we got 2 weeks to get under contract. We are going to be working lock and step for these whole 2 weeks. So if they go to an open house, they need to understand that here's my card. Call me. I'm going to be planning on writing an offer after that open house for you. But you want to set all these expectations in the consultation and then find out from them what they expect from you. They may be the people that say, hey, we want to buy, but we want to take this process real easy. We got a lot going on in our life. We need it to be real casual. Okay, explain to me what casual looks like to you. Get very clear on what the expectations are for you to them and from them to you, because what that does is later in the process, when things break down, you can go back to the consultation. For me, I summarize my consultations in email because I just feel like it's very important to do so. I always want to make sure that we're on the same page. So when I give you the summative email, that lets me know if I've missed anything, if I've not gotten anything. And mine are a little detailed in the sense that I say, thank you for meeting with me. After our consultation, we've determined that this is the house you're looking for. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,000 square feet, 3-car garage is non-negotiable, no more than 20 minutes from your job. And I'm just laying out all the things. Let me tell you why this also is important. People switch up the plays. I have had people say, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom in Hillsborough County, and then they close and they're looking for a 5-bedroom in Lakeland. And I'm like, we said 3 bedrooms, Hillsborough County. Oh, but I changed my mind. Okay, great. Then we need to have another consultation because we're changing the process, which means we have to change how we do this. If you don't have this summative email, they will say, I never said that. But this is why you put it in writing and you get them to acknowledge receipt of it. I have found that that works really good. And remember, this whole video is about 5 ways to improve your buyer process and your buyer presentations. This is going to make you more of a professional, help you close more deals in less time, because that's what this is all about. We want to be able to close buyer business in 2 weeks so we can continue to have a cycle of ongoing buyer business. The next thing, number 3, is set expectations from the consultation to the close. What does that process look like? I'll give you an idea of what it looks like when I work with buyers. I hire a showing assistant. They need to know that up front. When I'm setting the expectation, I'm not setting the expectation saying, hey, I'm using a showing assistant because research tells me that it's easier for me as a business owner to invest 10% of my commission and having somebody else show the property, which is about 20 or 30 hours of time that I could very well use to grow my business through lead generation, not opening doors. I could have somebody, a new agent or a showing service, do that. But I let them know up front that that's part of my process so that when they go to see a house, if somebody else is meeting them there, they're not surprised. I let them know that we have a transaction coordinator on our team. She does all of your paperwork. So once we actually go under contract, that process is going to be managed by somebody else, but I will be right there with you. I also let them know that I'm going to handle all of your contracts, all of your negotiation. That's all me. That's my expertise. Those are the things that you're paying me for. This is where I shine. I always use football as an example. I said, I'm the quarterback. I'm going to run the plays, but I'm going to throw the ball to other people. I set clear expectations of what they can expect from here going forward. And again, I put this in an email. So after I send that email for the consultation, that next day, I send the next email saying what's next, so that now I'm starting to set the expectation from that point going forward. And it's really going to be based on whatever we decided in the consultation as far as timelines and how I communicate with them. But they need to know that there's a showing assistant, that there's a transaction coordinator, that there's a title company involved and they will be handling the title paperwork, that there's a lender involved that I'm going to be communicating with the lender. They need to understand the appraisal process. All of these things are things that go out in that initial email. I also have done it this way. I also have set a outline, and then maybe every couple of days we'll drip them email about what is an escrow, what is the appraisal, what is insurance, how many insurance quotes should they get. So you have to decide what process this looks like for you, but you want to make sure that you have a system that happens the same for everybody, right? Okay, so the fourth thing in making your buyer process more effective, or making you better at listing, or making you better at buyer consultations, is focus on the decisions. Every time you communicate with your buyer, focus on making a decision. I find that a lot of people go out and show property. I don't just show property. When I take you out to tour properties, I am doing a 5-minute warm-up call with you. I let you know that we have 4 properties that we're viewing today. And even if it's not me, my showing assistant could be showing them. But you're gonna view 4 properties today. These 4 I've chosen based on your criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Based on what I see, here are the order that I think you will like them in. But what I need from you after these 4 houses, I need you to rank them 1 to 4, 1 being the one you like the most, 4 being the one you like the least. Tell me what you like about them, and I need you to be prepared to make an offer on the first decision if this is something that you like. Why am I doing that? A lot of people just believe it or not, I don't think people realize this, a lot of people just enjoy going to look at houses. Like, they will, can we go out Saturday? Like, we going shopping. Like, I just want to go out, hang out, and look at houses. Oh, no. We're not hanging out looking at houses. We're going to look at houses for the purpose of making decisions for writing contracts. So always speak in a way that gets your buyer to focus on decision making, because buyers naturally, most of the time, can be indecisive. And that's what we want to avoid, because that indecisiveness is going to eat your time. And for me, it's all about effectiveness of time, because the more time I get back, the more time I get to get out of working in my business to work on my business. And this is the most important thing, is that I'm spending more time working on the business than in the business. So if I'm training people to make decision-based showings, then I can help them pick a house a lot faster. So again, our timeline for our team is 2 weeks. That buyer should be under contract in 2 weeks. They should have gone on 2 to 3 showings, 4 to 5 houses each showing. They should be under contract, right? The last and final thing to work better with buyers, and this even starts from the consultation, is bulletproof your transaction. Understand that contract to close process for a buyer. Understand it. And here's the thing. When I say understand it, even if you're using a transaction manager, which I have a transaction management company, I use a transaction manager. I still have to bulletproof the transaction, because if something goes wrong in that transaction, then I have to start either back at the drawing board or I lose the opportunity to get a commission. So at some point, I have to look at, and this is going to be probably done in advance, not when you're working with a buyer. So even though it's part of the 5 steps, it's probably something that you're going to have to prepare for. At what point in the process from transaction to close have you experienced breakdown? If you've experienced breakdown, go bulletproof those areas. If communication was an issue, lay out a communication plan. Get all your emails up front. And here are some emails that I'm talking about. The under contract email. The TC would typically send them, but you need to make sure that they have what you need in them. And I'll just tell you a little bit about mine, with mine having them. My first email, and even though my transaction manager sent them, I gave her these templates because this is what I want my buyers to know. The first email says, congratulations on your contract. It gives the date. It gives the name of the transaction manager. I'm going to be working with you from contract to close. Here's what's next. You have 3 days to deposit your escrow. We screenshot the piece of the contract where the escrow is. We put the title company name there. We copy them on the email. We put their phone number. We tell them to contact the title company directly for wiring instructions. We highlight that. We let them know after that line, next you have to schedule inspections. We copy the inspection company on the email so that if my buyer doesn't contact them, they know if they don't hear from my buyer in 24 hours, then they need to contact my buyer. But what that does is now I'm telling the buyer how to be successful moving forward. I'm not waiting for a buyer to call me at day 2 and say, I don't know where to deposit my money, right? So it says you schedule your inspections. It lists the company that I use, and then it lists the inspections that we need. And it tells them you need a 4-point. 4-point you're going to need to get your loan and insurance. You need a full inspection because that's going to help us get a big picture of what's going on with the house. You need a termite inspection because the lender requires that. You might possibly need a 4-point inspection, but check with your insurance agent first, because in some instances they will lower your homeowner's insurance. Typically, that's if the house is older than maybe 10, 12 years old. So if it's a brand new house, you may not need one. All of this is in an email, and it goes out to them at day 1. Also on day 1, they get an email to start binding their insurance and to get in touch with the insurance agent to see if they need to get a wind mitt or not when they schedule their inspections. All of the things that are in my email, the people that I copy on it are trained that if you don't hear from that client in 24 hours, you need to call them. So the title company is going to call them and say, hey, we didn't get your escrow deposit. Do you need wiring instructions? The inspection company is going to respond to the email. Hey, you didn't schedule inspection, but we've got 3, 4, 5 dates available. Which of these dates work for you? The insurance person is going to call that person and say, hey, congrats on your contract. We're ready to bind insurance, give you a couple quotes. So what I'm saying is I'm bulletproofing the transaction. I'm not waiting until we add appraisal to start looking at insurance, because if there's a storm, I live in Florida. You can't bind insurance. If we can't bind insurance, we can't close. When I'm talking about bulletproofing the transaction, I'm talking about seeing yourself at the closing table and looking at every step before that and getting in front of anything that could cause a delay or a breakdown in the transaction or even cause the deal not to close. These are a lot of things that a lot of realtors are not putting time into, but this is a business. Part of running a business is having the tools in place, the systems in place to help your clients get to their desired results, because that's what they're paying you for. They're paying you for results. So I am excited to be able to present this content to you, and just go and crush it. Thank you for tuning in and watching this video. I'm excited that you tuned in, but as you can see, I'm very passionate about this. Very passionate about helping realtors create systems around their business, because systems help you work more efficiently. Once you work efficiently, you are able to make more money in less time. A lot of the things that we're doing in real estate can be done through systems, and it makes it a lot easier, makes your business more predictable, but more than that, makes your income more predictable. If you're struggling to get to six figures in real estate, I bet you it's a systems issue. I bet you're not using the tools that you need to dominate in your industry. But I have a solution for that. We have a CEO of Real Estate Membership. It is a thriving curriculum that has been built out in with the agent in mind, and with helping agents get to that six-figure mark in 3, 6, 9 months. It doesn't take 2 years in real estate to get to six figures if you have the systems, tools, and the guidance in order to do that. So there's going to be a link in this description box about our CEO of Real Estate Membership program. It is a 1-year full on build your business platform to help you grow your business systematically and get you to the results. Click that link now. I'd love to work with you and help you learn more concepts like this, bring more systems into your business so that you can work less and make more, right? Cheesette Cowan here. Thank you for tuning in.